Hi everyone, episode 3 of Unlocked, my composer series, is here. And this one belongs to the New Zealand composer John Psathas and his piece Jettatura. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So there will be a full performance of the piece at the end of this video, and also I'll put it out separately in case any of you want to miss out the talking and get straight into the music. However, John has given us some fantastic insights into his life and music this week, so I would really stay tuned for that. Plenty of laughs on board as well. I will stop talking now just so you can get straight into the wonderful music and coaching and chat and interview and laughs from John Psathas. Morning, John.
Hey, hey, how are you doing?
Evening, John. I'm all right. He's just come in to say hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, really good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right, I am gonna actually have to move the dog because obviously I can't play it.
Riley, hello. So you get confused? Hey, Riley. Hey.
Right, oh my god, it's 9 o'clock in the morning and I have makeup on and I'm sat at the piano. That hasn't happened for like 5 months.
Hey, so that's awesome. I mean, the only thing that it's just sound. The only thing, and of course I'm hearing it through Zoom. But the only thing that I could suggest is that once you get to the line that starts bar 13.
Yeah.
What would be good is as you work towards, the cutoff at 17, is for the sound to become a bit less choppy or less detached. I mean, up until there, it's totally fine. And essentially what I'm getting to is I think that in bar 14, maybe 15 and 16 and 17, you could start using the pedal a little bit.
Okay.
Just to make the sound start filling out a bit with resonance.
Did you hit all your sports sandos or most of your sports sandos?
Absolutely. And the accents are awesome and it's very clear. It's very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Like a tiny amount of pedal, mostly to try and bring out the tune.
No, absolutely. But the thing about that is that, there's a tendency to think, well, it's got to be robotically, mechanically precise. There is an opportunity in a number of places where you can just, in order to make the accented phrases sing a bit more, you can have sort of micro elasticity in the timing. So I mean places like at the end of bar 24, where you've got the D flat, C, B flat, C, that thing there. You can maybe stretch just very slightly there, just give it a bit of, so that it can articulate. I would say a really good exercise to do is to go through this passage and just play all the accents, like with none of the middle notes in the middle, and just get a feel for how that melody is jumping around.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of call and response between the low of the left hand and the upper part of the right hand, and there's some stuff in the middle register. But that kind of dialogue between them all, it's that very rapid fire interaction between the melodic layers that's the key to this. This is me maxing out the notation. So I've got tenuto and accent and FF and crescendo, obviously. I'm thinking of a different genre, I think, more like rock music.
More.
Yeah, it's more. But look, so that was sounding really lovely. I've got a couple of very small but important detail things, which is, in bar 52, the thirds in the right hand up the top, they come down from a high D to a C to a B, and then back up to a C, and then down to an A. Now the thing is, the two notes in the inner voice of the right hand towards the end of the bar, the D and the C.
Yeah.
You see those? Yeah. So they actually they're implying that the upper line is doing that. So you actually hear that as part of the upper line. It's a little illusion. But it helps create this overall melody that goes C, D, C, and then down to the A, right?
Yeah.
Now, the important thing is that on the last crotchet beat of 52, you've got an A in your thumb of the right hand, and then the third above it, right? The thumb A has to be really quiet.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering about this.
The other thing I want to look at is it one of the it is one of the trickiest places in the piece to get right. I don't think it's the hardest thing to play. It's bar 60 and 61. And it's because I was trying to get a very specific effect there, which is the right hand in the middle of bar 60. It really does need to start quiet. It's kind of murmuring. And then halfway through 61, it kind of, there's a crescendo that gets it up to the high accented F. And then it comes down again and it joins the B flat on the downbeat of 62, the left hand's B flat.
Yeah, I find this bit really tricky. The transition from one end to the other is...
Yeah. It's getting the wave right. Okay, and then the other thing was to do with the fade out of the left hand, which is one of the nastier things I've ever asked for, because the right hand is just going kind of ballistic. And but when we get to bar 77, 78, just as quiet as you can get, that diminuendo, so that by the time we get to 78, it's the last three chords in bar 78 in the left hand, even if you can't hear them properly, it's okay. They should just be, it's like just fading out, really. At bar 68, as you go up to bar 68, you have a triplet leading into it, and then you have the A to the F.
Yes.
I think you're sort of pulling back a little bit on the downbeat of 68. I'm not talking about time, I'm talking about dynamic. And so it has to actually land very strongly on 68.
Right.
With the A to the F, so that the contrast that happens with the echo up high at PP is as much of a contrast as is possible. Great. So look, a couple of things about dramatic pauses is that when you get to 117, the three crotchets, so whatever you do there in terms of time, it needs to be more than what happened the first time you did it, right? So they need to be relative to each other, those two bars, those rhyming bars. And so the first time I would do less stretch and this time more. So it needs to, because structurally that makes sense. And then, so you could be quite dramatic about it at 117, about stretching the time there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then at 118, I think you could wait easily another 3-4 bar of pause. Yeah. Because there's a big sound hanging around at that point, especially if you've kept the pedal down since 113. There's a really big sound there. And so you could take quite a bit longer 118. And then the other thing is just before 122, when you've got that last triplet in 121, you could take longer before you start the run down. But the run down should start at tempo and stay in tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely should. First of all, can you tell me about Jettatura? Can you tell me about why you wrote it and
Sure.
what it was all about?
Yeah. Okay. So firstly, it was a commission from pianist Susan Achilles, who commissioned a whole bunch of pieces for the changeover of the millennium. So it was written 1999 into 2000, and there were a whole series of pieces commissioned for marking that occasion. And I happened to be in Greece around the time of thinking about writing it. And we had such an incredible amount of bad luck, like on a big scale, like terrible things happened. And quite a lot of them happened to me. And I'm just thinking if I should tell you any of them. One of them is I was walking in the street of Thessaloniki in Greece, and I just walked past a horse and cart. And these are these guys that go around and they collect people's junk, and they go off and they try and sell it. And I just walked past the horse. Actually, I'm glorifying it. It was a donkey. And I walked past it and it was eating. And I didn't do anything. And as I walked past, it must have felt threatened. And it turned its head and it bit me on the groin. Yeah. And the thing is, it wouldn't let go. And so I was punching this animal, poor animal. I was punching it in the head. I was panicking quite a bit, I have to say. And as I was doing this, the owner of the donkey came over and started shoving me around, saying, "Don't hurt my animal." And all this time, the donkey wouldn't let go. One example. But the thing is, I'll just tell you, you can edit this out. I ended up going to a hospital because you don't know with animal bites, right?
No, of course.
And I went to the hospital, and this was a Greek hospital, and we turned up. It was me and my dad, and there was no one at reception. And we walked in and we were yelling out, "Hello, hello." And it was all empty. And we were walking through the corridors and we found a room where there were some people. and they were all gathered around a table, and we were trying to get some attention to see if we could have some medical help. And we said hello, no one answered us, and we walked up to this table, and those people were gathered around. It was actually an operation. And there was the family was standing around the table with the speaker. Anyway, what happened was we were told that we had to bring the donkey to the hospital, and we thought they were joking, and they said no, we have to take a blood test from the donkey. Yeah.
Hospital.
Yeah, and we actually had to do it. We went and got a policeman. We found the man. We took his animal to the thing and had blood taken. Anyway, this was one instance of several. It's the more humorous one in retrospect.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But anyway, we had lots of very unfortunate things happen. And my sister, who was very concerned for me, for all of us, she wanted to get a reading done. You know, you can get these readings done where they see what kind of aura you have and how cursed or not you are.
I'd love to have that done.
Well, it might not be good news though.
It probably wouldn't.
And so the thing is that in Greece they've got it down. So you don't even have to go. You can do it over the phone.
Can I do a Zoom one? Can I
You could do a Zoom one. That's right. These days, I bet their business is very good right now. And the thing is that my sister called someone, a psychic of some kind, and she said, look, we're having a bit of trouble. And the psychic goes, it's okay, I can feel your aura, I can feel your energy. Tell me about your family. And my sister went through the family. And she said, oh, there's my father. And the woman said, oh, no, your father's okay. And she went through the whole family. And then my sister said, oh, there's my brother. And the psychic goes, oh, my God. Oh, no. It's just, he's got such a dark energy. It's terrible. That, you know, it's terrible. And it was almost like, I got to get off the phone. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You know, it was almost at that level. And so, anyway, so they have in Greece these, as you know, these blue eyes, and they are supposed to ward off the evil eye. So they're the good eye. And I wrote this piece as a kind of talisman, you know, as a kind of response to that time. And I dedicate it to my sister because she was the one trying to find a way of looking out for us on another realm, you know, another spiritual plane. So.
And I mean, going back to the previous story, you have 2 children, so your groin was okay in the end.
It was so close. It's okay to laugh, Dawn. I've done all my laughing.
I didn't know this.
I mean, the thing is that from the day I was born, and from that moment in that guy's life, we were slowly coming together over time and space, so that his donkey would find me on a street in Thessaloniki. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me, I want to kind of tell people how we met. So we got chatting, God, I don't know how many years ago. Was it like 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago? When I played your View from Olympus, which is John's concerto for amplified piano and percussion. I'm not going to clang here, but I did it with a quite famous percussionist. And then I met John, and I absolutely adore View from Olympus. And I love the way, because you're from New Zealand, but Greek heritage, obviously. How do you incorporate these kind of wonderful ethnic Greek modality, wonderful things into your music? That's obviously kind of purposeful?
Yes, and it's something that happens over time. It's quite a deep aspect to the composing process because it's really wrapped up with identity, and it's wrapped up with the formation of one's identity or the emergence of one's identity. And so, you know, I'm in New Zealand, where I'm the child of immigrants. So I was born here, but my parents came here. We were very, very much outsiders. So I wasn't really a Kiwi at all, almost never have been. But also I wasn't really Greek either, because I wasn't born in Greece and I didn't grow up there. And my parents were kind of very uber Greek, be Greek, John, in every way, be Greek, you know. And but I was living in a country that was completely different from what that they were. So, and then the other thing is going through a university education system as a composer tends to have certain givens, you know, that everybody goes through. And one of them is One of them is worship the past. That's a big one of them. The other one is be contemporarily relevant. So what is happening now, and how do you, align yourself with that? And I had this very unusual experience where I would be at the university learning about Boulez and Stockhausen and Ligeti and all of that. And then at 3:00, I would go down to the Greek hall and set up with the Greek band. And I would play keyboards in this Greek band. And we would be ready to go. People would turn up. We'd play the first chord of the first song, and everybody would be up dancing. And we would be playing until 4 a.m. Like, we couldn't leave because the spirits were so high. And that was all generated by music. And then, and this was music of the body and of the heart and of the spirit. And then I would go back to university the next day, and we would be talking about music of the brain, really. It's a very different experience. And so I got caught up in between these two things. And so by the time I left university, I wasn't really confused. I was more like, okay, well, I'm glad that's over. What I really want to do now is I want to write me. Like, I want to do me at this point. But I didn't know who me was. Yeah. Because I'd been just, exploring all of these other things. And so what I did in the end was I thought, well, at some point, I'd really like to express some element of my Greek self. And it actually, looking back, it takes a lot of courage to do that. Because within the contemporary music scene, a piece like View from Olympus, and that's in the day, because we're talking about the late 90s as well, ridiculed or mocked by peers because it's tonal, it's rhythmically grounded, it's got a groove and all those sorts of things, and it's beautiful at times, like in the second movement, it has a lot of beauty, and it's modally very simple. All of the materials are actually very, very simple. It's just they happen at high speed and they're exciting, but they're actually very straightforward if you were to analyze it. Very straightforward music. And so that was, in some ways, it was an act of courage and a leap of faith. And, I was very lucky that, that piece it's had a life. And I really wish I could have heard you play it with Evelyn. It would have been amazing.
I know. Well, we have to do it again. We have to do it if we're ever allowed out of the state that we're in. But then also, because we've also worked together with Piano Circus and various other things. I've coached show music at Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. And with the Piano Circus Commission that happened a couple of years ago, which we're still waiting to premiere after lockdown, please. And the things that we did, the things that the students did at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, some of your new commissions like Boyan and Menticide and Voices at the End, which is the Piano Circus Commission, they use a lot of electronics and a lot of samples. So when did you start playing around with those type of things?
I would say the first piece I wrote that I'm aware of, I might have the order wrong, but it was a piece for Pedro Carneiro called One Study, One Summary. And that's for marimba and junk percussion and pre-record. Yeah. And it's part of a larger sort of issue, which is that, I'm writing a lot for orchestra at the moment, and I find it incredibly challenging and very frustrating because the orchestra is the orchestra. At this point in history, the orchestra is the orchestra. And the orchestra could be so many more things. It could be amplified. It could have electronic effects put on it. It could have a whole bunch of other instruments brought into it, but it's the orchestra, And so what I find really challenging about that is that I'm never going to outdo Mahler. I'm never going to outdo any of those guys, Stravinsky, Ravel. They are the apex of, orchestral composition. And I find that it's like writing for the piano. It's like with Voices at the End. Same with writing for marimba. Every single sound I can imagine on any of those instruments, including the orchestra, I've heard before. And so it's sort of, I needed an escape. I needed some way of opening up the universe. And for me, that was to combine these instruments with a kind of infinite soundscape and, full of infinite possibility. And so with Voices at the End, we have in that piece, the recordings from the NASA probe surrounding the 6 pianos. We have the heartbeat of a mother that's in counterpoint with the heartbeat of an unborn child. And they're creating this rhythmic counterpoint. Yeah, it's just, it's limitless, right? And as long as you get the formula right, and the formula is the performer has to be the narrator of the work, the live performer has to be the person that's ultimately telling the story. Otherwise, there's no point in them being there. It could just be an electronic piece or a recording. And so it's, you have to make the most of the live energy that comes from a human being playing. But for me, it's absolutely transformed composition, and a lot of what I'm doing now, not orchestral, but otherwise, is to do with acoustic instruments and pre-recorded material.
One of the things that really moves me about the group is how the forces at work inside and outside of the group are very intense, and yet it doesn't diminish what I think of as a real authenticity about this ensemble and a kind of a truthfulness to what it is that they're pursuing.
So you're still kind of, even in New Zealand, which is, super progressive and wonderful, and we all want to be, I bet. No, they won't allow you to bring those extra elements into the orchestra just yet?
Not to orchestra, no. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned View from Olympus. That's being performed here in a couple of months. Right. Michael Houston, our wonderful pianist, and even just getting the piano amplified is a big deal. Right. So you have to jump through all kinds of hoops. And that's not transforming anything. That's just making sure the pianist is heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I do have an amazing project coming up at the end of this year with the Funkhouse Orchestra in Cologne, and they are an orchestra that are regularly amplified. They work with in-ears and they use clicks, and the conductor does the same. So there's an incredible amount of possibility there. Wow. to have in-ears and clicks, because it means rhythmically you can do a huge range of things. And then it's a concerto for 4 percussionists and orchestra. And the percussionists, we're using electronica. We're not using just percussion instruments. We're taking it into other places. And one of the things we want to explore is putting effects on the orchestra. So, when you hear techno music and it's got that thing where it's all muffled, and then the filter opens up and all the high frequencies come out and you get the big drop. Well, not necessarily not necessarily that music, but that effect we can do. We can do that with an orchestra, and I think that's tip of the iceberg.
I absolutely agree with you. I cannot wait until, maybe there are some people over here, I don't want to mention any names because I haven't quite done my research on it, but I cannot wait until I can potentially be involved in something like that, because, even with some of your music, I've rehearsed some of your music in a darkened concert hall, and someone's walked in and gone, God, this is like a nightclub. I'm like, cool. I think that was when someone was rehearsing Menticide. But how has your lockdown been, John? Are you at your home, or are you at the beach away composing?
I'm in my composing place up the coast in a town called Waitarere. It's a very small town. It has about 600 permanent residents, and I mean it's night here, so I can't show you, but you can see my computer in the background. If that curtain is up, I look out at the ocean. I'm right by the sea, so it's incredible. And I'm here all day, every day, and then I go and see the family. So I can be here for weeks on end, and I will work from like 7 in the morning till 8 at night or 9 at night, And I can do those long days, because for me, composing is I don't know what to call it. It's a privilege. It's an addiction. It's an obsession. It's incredibly gratifying. And so I spend all day, every day doing that. That's what I do. Yeah.
And you were okay during the lockdown? You kind of, shut yourself away? Because I know you were in Greece and you had to try and get home.
Yeah.
And you made it home.
I just got home in time.
And you were composing all the way through.
Yeah, and amazingly, more and more projects are being offered to me. It's amazing. It hasn't slowed down. I lost a couple of things because of lockdown, but I lost quite a lot of performances. Like I had 50 performances lined up over March, April, May in Europe, and I was going to get to a lot of them, but I didn't get. That didn't happen. But boy, that's the least of what people have been through. So, but in terms of commissions and new projects, it's been astonishing. There's just stuff coming left, right, and centre. And I think part of it is, I left the university about a year and a half ago, and I've been able to really focus on developing my profile and my presence in the world, because that takes time and energy, as we all know. And so a lot has been coming from that. And I have commissions, all the way through to 2024 now, which is amazing for me. Yeah, and I'm a guy from New Zealand. I'm miles away from everything. So I feel incredibly lucky that that's happened.
So what's next for you, John, then? What's for the rest of this year? What are your new commissions? Can we
Okay.
look out for anything?
Yeah.
Can we
Sure.
watch any kind of live streams on your website or anything like that?
No, not live streams, not that I know of, because everyone that I'm working with is basically, they're in the countries where they can't do anything.
Yeah.
But I do have live performances here. So I have my piano concerto being played in a few weeks, which I'm very happy about, because that's a very important piece for me, and it doesn't get much of an outing. That's how it works. You have this relation.
3 hymns?
It's 3 Psalms. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So I'm very happy about that being played. And then View from Olympus is happening later on. But I'm writing a saxophone concerto right now, and very excited about that. And after that, I'm writing a trio just for clarinet, piano, and percussion, which I'm very much looking forward to, because it's a smaller scale and it can be more intimate, and more personal. And it's just acoustic instruments, no pre-recorded stuff. And then I'm writing this quadruple percussion concerto for this amplified orchestra, which is just going to be blowing the roof off everything, I think.
Absolutely.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
So
Yeah.
percussion, then, obviously, percussion is super important to you, writing for percussion.
Well, the thing, percussion has been incredibly successful for me. I have so much percussion music being played and learned. I feel incredibly lucky. But have you played Matri's dance? You have, I think.
I've coached Matri's dance, and
You've coached it.
I've coached it, and I've only ever
Right.
played a couple of bits to go. No.
Right. Yeah. Well, that as a piece has had the most incredible life. And One Study, One Summary is another one. And an ensemble piece called Kyoto has also had an amazing life. So percussion has kind of been my area of most success, and it's where I've had the most commissions. And I can't play anything. I can't play any percussion instrument. I've got a tambourine here, and I can't even play that in time. I mean, how pathetic is that?
Oh my God, you wish you were there. It's hilarious. Do you remember when I was coaching Cloud Folk?
Oh, yeah.
What's the instrument? It goes dum 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 right at the start.
Oh, it's like a shaker. It's like a shaker or a shakira. Shakira. Yeah.
The player wasn't there, so I grabbed a tambourine and I was like, oh, well, obviously someone needs to keep the time with it. But I tried to do Cloud Folk on a tambourine. I couldn't even go dum 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 dum. Everyone was going, you need to stop that now. Sorry. I can't play it either.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing how hard it is to play any of those instruments.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. One of the things is that, it's being demonstrated by what we're doing right now, which is, I think the smartest thing I did, without knowing I was doing it at the time, is to get out and to go and be with the people that are engaging with your music. So, some of my fondest memories, Dawn, are of us at the pub. You, me, and Piano Circus at the pub. And well, and other places. I think we tried a few pubs out. The idea of just hanging out with people, like the hang is very important. And being with people and talking about what you like, what you don't like, the things you agree on, things you disagree on, your passion for music, your passion for other things. It's hugely important to get out there, because composers tend to be reclusive types. and spend so much time alone writing this music that there can be this detachment from the world. And I think I've been...
Don't worry about this instrument right here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is it's even more so from here because I spent like 20 years writing music that I just sent to people.
Yeah.
And, I didn't even know who they were. I'd never met them in person. So now I take a much more kind of engaged approach to people because I want to be part of the world, not isolated quite so much. So bad timing because of COVID to have changed my life philosophy.
It's not forever. That's what I keep trying to say. It's not. It can't be. It can't be.
Yeah.
We have to be positive about it. And of course, it's not forever. It hasn't been forever with you guys because you're back up and running over there in New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Lord, and hopefully we'll be following suit pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, it feels quite surreal here at how normal things are. Well, because every time you look at the news, which is often, you it's like it's a parallel universe out there, not actually our universe. It feels very strange. So we have normal concerts, everything is open, there's no masks, no one wears masks, and it feels like business as usual. I think the economy is going to have a massive rupture coming up in the next few months because it's just a bit delayed here. Yeah.
Awesome to talk to you, John.
Likewise. Okay. Well, I hope to see you again soon, Dawn, in person.
See you
Really
soon.
good.
I hope you can come over, or we can come over there, or
Yeah.
what's going to happen. Oh, take care, John. Go and have a nice drink because it's the very end of the day for you, isn't it?
It is. I have a whiskey waiting. Yes.
Woo-hoo. All right. Cheers for that, John.
All right. Okay.
I will speak to you soon. Hey.
Okay. All right, Dawn. See you later.
And then take care.